Greetings, friends, and welcome to another episode of The Mistake Zone, your weekly dose of our lives and the mistakes within them. My name is Jaren Wade. Joining me, as always, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Matt Alba. Hey, Matt.
Yo.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Matt, that's great. I'm unfortunately, Matt, I'm doing slightly less great.
Oh, no.
As I said last week, and when our friends hear this episode for the first time, Matt, currently staring down the barrel of mid-30s, and when this episode goes live, I'll be at the receiving end of whatever comes out of that mid-30s barrel.
Oh, no.
And Matt, as someone who's known me for, what is it, like 2 decades now? Something like that.
Yeah, about that.
Around that. You know me, Matt. The only way to fill this void of existential dread is to fill it with consumerism. Matt,
Okay.
I asked you at the, before we started recording, when this episode goes live, on the off chance that, Matt, I have 4 items on my eBay watch list.
Okay.
And these bids end 6 p.m. on Wednesday, which is also my birthday. And I'm staring at these items right now, and I'll just say what they are, Matt. I am currently watching 4 HoloLive, SR cards with the gold stamp signatures.
Oh, man. Okay.
That are, PSA graded 10. And so there are currently 4, Matt. There's Kanata, there's Mio, there's Aqua, and there's Hachima. And one, Matt, so far, Kanata has the highest bid right now. She has around 8 bids. Hachima has the second highest. Aqua has the third highest. Mio only has 1 bid, Matt. That makes me feel bad. I like me some Mio. But again, this is... I don't need these cards, Matt. But at the same time, I'm staring at them right now. And I'm debating if I should try to snipe a few right when the bid, the auctions end on Wednesday evening, or if I should get it out of my system now and kind of just high bid the most I'm willing to pay. And when someone outbids those, which they probably will, it's out of my system. But,
isn't that how eBay is set up now?
Yeah, I can put a max bid, but it's one of those where, say my max bid for a card was, I don't know, 50.
Yeah.
It would only, I believe you can still set it to go at increments. So you'll only go, X above the current max bid. And then if someone has their max bid set, it will slowly crawl up until someone's max bid is reached or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Matt, if I'm hoping to get at least 1 or 2 of these for my own guilty pleasure. But,
Jared, you should just set your max bids and then never look at it again.
And hope for the best?
Yeah, maybe you'll end up with a surprise birthday present in 2 to 3 business weeks.
It's all from the same seller, so I'd have to contact them once the bidding ends, just so I could
get that combined shipping.
Yeah, to get that combined shipping. Matt, you sound like you've eBayed before.
I always feel very awkward doing that.
I feel like the times I have done it, everyone was pretty chill about it.
Oh, yeah. They're always pretty chill, but for some reason, I feel like, I don't know, it feels like I'm doing some backdoor eBaying, and it makes me feel weird.
I know what you mean, Matt, but on the topic of my birthday, Matt, do you, when your birthday comes around, do you partake in the good old free birthday freebies?
No, Jared, I am always too not embarrassed to say that it's my birthday, but I never want to kind of go through it. You mean at restaurants and stuff, right?
Yeah. Like, for example, Starbucks, they'll give you a free drink on your birthday. various bubble tea places, if you're signed up to their loyalty program, will give you a free small drink on your birthday, stuff like that.
No, I never really do those. I always feel weird doing it, and then I feel like I know you're not because they're like, they're saying to do it, but I always feel like I'm scamming the system, and it makes me feel dirty, Jared.
Matt, the system's always stacked against you. This is your one win as Father Time slowly creeps upon you. But I know for Denny's, you can get a free Grand Slam like meal or something on your birthday. But Matt, closest Denny's is, I think, 25 minutes away, and too far for me, Matt. Too far for me. But in the advent of, all of these loyalty programs being app-based, Matt, I just go ham on the apps. When my birthday rolls around, I'm going to Starbucks. I'm getting a venti. I'm adding bananas. I'm adding all these mix-ins to make some monstrosity that will give me a tummy ache. Matt, speaking about tummy aches, I redeemed one birthday offer today because, some birthday places give you a week in advance or so. Matt got me a large blizzard today.
Oh man, Jaren, what flavor?
So whenever I do a blizzard, if none of the monthly or, the special blizzards, catch my eye, I'll take a mint Oreo. I'll ask for an extra pump of mint because I feel like whenever, like same with like Shamrock shakes or whatever, I feel like they're not minty enough and I want that premium green. And then I substituted the Oreo for cookie dough because I rather have cookie dough than Oreo. And I ate half of it. I mixed the rest into a Ninja Creamy cup so I can repurpose it sometime this week. But Matt, needless to say, I have a tummy ache right now.
Nice.
But yeah, Matt, hopefully sometime next week I'll report back to tell you if I own 1 to 4 graded Hololive cards. Matt, I have a signed Lammy card. But as much as I want to get that graded as well, Matt, can I admit something? When putting it in a double card plastic, might have nicked one of the sides.
Oh no, Jaren.
Matt,
hate to see it.
What do you think about buying? Because my partner, she's also into collecting graded Pokemon cards specifically, and the dream as a kid's always been the Charizard. Matt, everyone wants the Charizard. For some reason, seeing PSA or whatever company you go to for your grading, like 1 cards in like their fancy plastic with and just seeing the card itself being like trash, like that's a good proof to me.
That's really good, actually.
But Matt, it's that Charizard where some of them, they're still pretty pricey, but at the same time, the notion of having a one graded Charizard card really appealing to me, Matt. No other cards.
Are you gonna go for one, Jared?
If they were more reasonably priced, because Matt, even cards from when we were kids, even those are still pricey, even if they're like trash to hack. But I don't know about you, Matt, but I'd be okay with maybe the back of the cards like water damage, not necessarily water damage, just scratched up, or like maybe the sides are rough. But if there's a big crease, which would add to this is a PSA 1 card, I feel like that's too much for me, man. Like I can't deal with big creases.
I almost feel like in my head you have to go either 1 or like 9 or higher.
Right. No in betweens.
No in betweens. You're all in, or you have the joke one.
What's the lowest graded card you'd consider, Matt? 9?
I think 9. Like if I was seriously looking at a graded card, I think 9 would be the lowest I would go.
Fair enough.
If I'm
Matt.
also gonna go into actually like buying it and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's different if I had a card, had it graded, and it is below a 9.
Oh yeah, true. Oh man, that's why I'm scared to get my Lammy graded, but I still want to get it graded.
Uh-huh.
But Matt, those are my futile attempts to make do with hitting that big mid 30s. But Matt, if there's one thing that will give me comfort in these existential times, it's graded Hololive cards and ice cream that gives me tummy aches.
Nice. Those are classics, Jaren. Those are classics.
So Matt, speaking about trading cards you get at random, if there is one other place I reside, Matt, other than the Mistake Zone HQ, it's Gacha Hell. And Matt, I mentioned a few weeks ago, and I'm not sure if you remember when we talked about the Arknights Monster Hunt collaboration, but there have been two separate gachas that happened generally at the same time. One for Bang Dream Girls Band Party, of course, and I'm talking about that time I was reincarnated as a slime collab, and we have the new. I guess we have another limited banner in Arknights, which has one of the dragon siblings that they usually have for their mid-year collab, or if there are usually 3 to 4 limited operators a year for Arknights. The dragon siblings are usually the first quarter operators, but this is based off of originally in China because CN usually gets these events first. Japan, English, they usually get theirs a couple months down the road. But 2 gachas have happened recently, Matt, 2 limited gachas. And so with Arknights, that happened with the dragon operators. This gacha is the Solitude Universal Limited Headhunting. And it features Chung Yu, who is the dragon sibling, and Lin, who is a, repeated character who's appeared a few times in some of the side events, but she's finally also playable. But with Arknights, they have a spark system where when you do 300 pulls, you'll have enough gacha or that banner currency to buy outright one of the featured units. And luckily for me, Matt, in the past, I've never had to use the Spark system for Arknights because, sometimes I'll get really lucky in a limited banner. Sometimes I'll get it around like 250, 270, but I'll never do it towards, 300. But Matt, it didn't help that this week when this banner launched, I have another friend that I play Arknights with. And on his fourth 10 pull, he got not only the limited dragon unit for this game, Chung Yu, he got Lin as well, and then he got another dragon sibling from 2 limited events ago. So he got 3 6-stars in one pull.
Nice.
And that's my pal Kevin, and I say he has Kevin luck. And Matt, I thought, okay, Kevin, give me the rest of your luck because I'm going in.
Okay.
And needless to say, Matt, 29 10 pulls later, pretty much going through all the premium currency I saved up since, it's ongoing. I still don't have Chung Yu, and now I'm forced to do the daily free logins for, the next 10 days until I can hopefully get him within the 10 pull. Or get enough to buy him outright. But Matt, when you're doing your rolls and then you get, because with Arknights, I'm not sure if you remember, Matt, you had that animation when you open the gacha bag and then you had the light that comes out. In terms of like my collection, I got a lot of 6-stars, not like the top tier 6-stars. I was able to get enough to 6 potential my Exu, who's one of my favorite operators. For those that don't know, potentials are when you get a duplicate of an operator, you can essentially feed it to your original operator to give them bonus passives, with 6 being the highest. But Matt, it was one of those where I was getting dangerously low on my currency.
Uh-huh.
Yu wasn't coming through. I got 3 lins though, Matt, which means that I won the limited 50-50, but then I lost the actual unit 50-50.
Uh-huh.
Didn't feel good, Matt. So that made me feel bad. And it's one of those things where whenever I have whenever I do a limited banner for Arknights, it's usually anywhere between 70 to like 250. But on the off chance I'll pull like a standard banner with like a new unit, I know Reed's alter unit came out a few weeks ago. I got her in like 20 pulls when I just YOLO pulled, which made me feel good, Matt. But
Nice, nice.
this limited banner, not so much. And it didn't help that with Bang Dream, Girls Band Party, and that
Mm-hmm.
my time I was reincarnated as a slime.
Uh-huh.
Bang Dream, it's like a bit different than Arknights because with Arknights, I only really pull during limited banners. I feel like they're pretty generous with the currency,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm able to save up and not really spend a lot of money in Arknights. Like I'll do a monthly card here and there if it's a really good event with some good rewards that I want to farm some materials for. But with Bang Dream, that not only are they on a sped up schedule where events are shorter, but that means you don't get as many login bonuses as you did in between the different events as well. So
Mm-hmm.
saving up for Bang Dream has been a pain, and it didn't help that for the last 2 limited banners, which were the Tokyo Revengers collab and then the ReZero 2 collab. Matt, I hate to admit it, I
Uh-huh.
had to hit pity on both of those to
Oh.
get both limited units. And seeing as ReZero 2 was only like a handful of weeks before Slime, Matt,
Mm-hmm.
needless to say, did not have enough limited currency saved up for the 2 collab units. So I had to hit pity, and Matt,
Uh-huh.
don't want to admit it on air, but let's just say that I was glad that there was a PC Optimum deal where if you spent $50 on
Oh
Apple
no.
gift card, you'd get $5 back. And every little helps, man. Every little
Oh no.
helps.
Jared. Jared, you're going too deep, Jared. Jared, you can't even get these polls PSA graded.
Matt, I got my Mashiro Rimuru card finally after sparking her. But Matt,
Uh-huh.
I swear I'm gonna quit once the Chainsaw Man collab happens. I can't do this with Bang Dream anymore. It makes me feel too bad.
Jared, okay, I have a question for you.
What's up?
If they like started to incorporate a system where any like you could pay to have like card versions of your polls printed for you, would you go in on that?
Honestly, depending on the price, I would probably go because the only reason I really, in terms of Bang Dream limited banners, I only
Mm-hmm.
save up for the collab units where I would only do it for all the collab cards.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and depending if the price was right. So
Uh-huh.
that would be the only way I would do it, Matt.
Jared,
But
would you be more or less interested if they also put your username or like your like handle onto the print?
oh, that would be pricey, Matt. Oh, like kind of in the back of the card, like one of those
Yeah.
trading cards. The front's just the art, on the back there's like stats and stuff.
Yeah, something like that.
That would be cool. That would be cool. I'd be more inclined to do it.
Oh, man.
But yeah, Matt, that was essentially 8 minutes of me crying about spending pulls and having to hit pity in gotcha games, and Matt doesn't feel good.
Hate
My
to see it,
only
man.
saving grace, hopefully, is that I have some time until the Chainsaw Man Bang Dream collab comes to EN. But Matt,
Uh-huh.
promise you right now,
Uh-huh.
on episode 53, I think?
I think it's 53. Yeah.
The Mistake Zone reboot. gonna quit Bang Dream. Gonna quit Bang Dream after the Chainsaw Man collab.
Oh man.
Once I probably hit pity to get all those collab cards.
Yo, Jaren, just gotta hope that Shopper still has that deal.
I hope, Matt. I'll hope.
Uh-huh.
So, Matt,
Mm-hmm.
speaking about Bang Dream, I want to talk about the latest episode of Bang Dream MyGO. I believe it's episode 7, just because when we did the summer anime taste test, I said that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, Bang Dream MyGO would probably be something that I would watch for a bit until it became, the Bang Dream I personally have come to expect from this series, where we'll
Yeah.
have, light drama, but in the end, it's the power of friendship and everyone coming together for, their own dreams, their own Bang Dreams, Matt. That
Mm-hmm.
probably sounds really gross, but with episode 7 of My Go, I feel like I just need to set up all the pieces real quick because in terms of the Bang Dream anime, I honestly thought that episode 7 is probably the best Bang Dream episode I've watched overall. And some
Mm-hmm.
of the story implications to come out of it have been, you know, the rival some of the best event stories that we've seen in game. But to kind of set everything up right now, Bang Dream MyGo revolves around the band MyGo, which come from the remnants of this one band that you're introduced in the first episode called Cry Chic. Cry Chic is made up of 5 members. You have Tamori, who's this socially anxious girl. You have Soyo, who is your, Oni-san. Let's all, cheerful voice, the big sister. She wants everyone just to get along. You have
Mm-hmm.
Taki, who is, the Sundari character. You have Matsumi, who's kind of this reserved, not necessarily spacey, but she keeps to herself girl. And then
Mm-hmm.
you have Sakiko, who is the emotional character. And essentially, the reason why Kraishi comes together is Tamori, who's the lead singer, she's kind of spacing out one day. Tamori's one of those girl characters that lives in her own world, but still battles with trying to be social around everyone. She's overlooking a bridge. She's looking at some leaves falling, and Sakiko mistakes her for trying to jump, and she stops her, tackles her, and says, "You have so much to live for." They become friends from that, and Sakiko discovers Tamori's, journal, who Sakiko mistakes as song lyrics. So essentially, she thinks that some of her, inner turmoil makes for great lyrics. They
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, let's make up, in typical Bang Dream fashion, it's, hey, let's make a band together. They get Matsumi, who's Sakiko's childhood friend. They get Soyo, who is a girl that they go to school with. And they also get Taki, who instantly falls in love with Tamori's lyrics just because even though Taki is kind of the standoffish character, she has her own feelings that she's sorting through, and Tamori's lyrics, speak to her. And in this time of them forming the band, Tamori getting all these new experiences, she writes them a song called Spring Sunlight. And it's the only song that they perform together in their first live show. And unfortunately, we don't see the reason, but one day Sakiko is late to practice. She says she can't do the band anymore. She's just fed up with the dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Matsumi admits that she never wanted to be in the band in the first place, and they all go their separate ways. And that's kind of the basis of Cry Chic. And even though Cry Chic broke up, Soyo has always wanted to reconnect with Tamori, who she doesn't know where Tamori ends up. Sakiko ends up transferring schools, so she doesn't know where Sakiko ends up. And essentially, Soyo's lost. She wants to get Matsumi to tell her where Sakiko is, but, out of their respect and friendship of longtime friendship, she won't tell her where Sakiko goes to school now. And cut through a few months, we get to Anon or Chahia. And then I told you before, Matt, during the taste test, Chahia is that insecure, kind of egotistical character. And
Uh-huh.
essentially, from episodes 2 to 6, It's them kind of coming together through pure chance. Taki works at the live house that they all kind of meet up with, and they eventually form a band together. So it's Tamori, it's Tamori, Soyo, and Taki from Kreishik. You have Anon, who is the insecure girl. She's the transfer student. And then you have this girl named Rana, Rana is another spacey character who kind of goes to the beat of her own drum. She kind of just shows up one day, barges into their practice room, she overhears the band talking initially. And then when they finally do their first practice, she just barges in and starts playing with them. They call her Stray because she's like a stray cat. So it's pretty good. That's their kind of dynamic. And from episodes 2 to 6, it's them kind of coming together to make this band work. It's Soyo kind of giving Tamori a chance to say, hey, we'll always be there for you. As long as we talk everything out, unlike last time, we're going to make this work because Tamori wants this to last. Anon, she's like, we'll keep going until we'll do our first performance and then we'll see from there. And, one of the storylines was Anon doesn't want to commit and that ends up hurting Tamori, but, typical band stuff in that. So we get to episode 7, which is their first live performance. Matt, tell me if you heard this before.
Okay.
There's a live performance. One of the bands can't perform, so the spot goes to this newcomer band. And it's a good episode in terms of Bang Dream fan service because it's a joint concert between Afterglow and Poppin' Party. We actually get to see members of Poppin' Party and Afterglow throughout the episode. Small vocal lines here and there. And once again, it gives you that feeling of, okay, they're more established bands right now. And this is, in a kind of slight way, a passing of torch to the next generation of Bang Girl bands, in a way, Matt. Not officially, but kind of in a way. So the band goes up. They don't have an official name yet. And Matt, if I had to tell you, I embarrassed paused like 3 times. It was rough because, of course, it was a lot of start and stopping. These screwed up. I really liked how in their first performance, it was framed in a way where the already small audience, throughout all their starts and stops, you saw members of the audience just kind of leave, which I thought was really good. But they finally get into their groove. Tamori ends up seeing Sakiko and Matsumi in the crowd. And when she realizes they're in the crowd, she's able to go all out. And after they perform their first song, everyone's saying, oh, these girls are actually pretty good. So the crowd starts going up and Tamori does her monologue. She's just going off the cuff saying how I'm really, an anxious person. I didn't really believe in myself, but like up in this stage, I'm a different typical band empowerment speech, Matt. And at the time, Rana was just kind of noodling around to her guitar, which, speaks to her kind of professionalism even though she's kind of spacey, she knows how to perform, which was really cool too. And at the end of her monologue, Rana immediately goes into the guitar riff for Spring Sunlight, which is Kreishik's song. And Matt, this is when the episode kicks up a notch, where the moment she starts playing that riff, it instantly cuts to Taki, to Tamori, and Anon, who realize what's happening, and they get into it. Taki loves Spring Sunlight. It was the reason why she wanted the band to continue and especially perform with Tamori. And this is contrasted where the camera cuts to Soyo, the Oni-san character, and Matt, just the shock on her face. And then it also cuts to Sakiko in the crowd too, because what you have to consider about Spring Sunlight was, even though Tamori wrote the lyrics, Sakiko is the one who composed the song. And when you consider how Kreishik was set up, their band setup was 1 lead singer, 1 drummer, 1 guitarist, 1 bassist, 1 pianist, who was Sakiko. And for MyGo, it's the pianist is replaced by Anon, who is the rhythm guitar player. And essentially throughout this performance, it's essentially Soyo, who's usually this really happy-go-lucky, not necessarily happy-go-lucky, but she's the older sister. She wants to be relied on, and she's always there to encourage the rest of her band members. But like as the song goes on, we actually see her become more and more like fall more and more into despair. Like you can actually see a panic in her face. And then when it cuts to Sakiko, there's this one part which should have been a piano section, but then it goes into like the rhythm guitar, and then she just immediately tears up and runs out of the venue. And then from there, Soyo notices it, and Matt, it does that thing where the whole time it's her with her head down, and you know her bangs are covering her eyes, and there's that shadow over there. So it's just this really intense. You know, the song in itself is this pretty. It's this more slower girl band song, a bit somber, but it's kind of contrasted with just Soyo looking miserable up there, you know. There's this actual one shot of the performance where the lyrics are on screen in English, and the lyric is overjoyed and lonesome. And the moment that lyric is on, like, the subtitle is on screen, it's kind of Soyo in the middle of the frame looking miserable. And then you have Anon, you have Taki, and you have Tamori kind of, you know, overjoyed around her. And so the performance ends, they all rush off stage, and afterwards they're all backstage, kind of congratulating each other. And then Soyo comes out of nowhere and like literally yells, "Why are you playing Spring Sunlight?" in the most unhinged I've ever seen like a Bang Dream character. Where when you kind of take in everything, what's happened until episode 7, you kind of realize, oh wait, why was Soyo really the one person really pushing to get the band back together? And why was she so adamant on Anon joining the band, even though Anon is self-admittedly not good at guitar? She barely knows it. She's really kind of practicing every night. And you kind of get to the notion of, oh wait, does she want to get a version of Cry Chic together? Eventually wait for Anon to leave because Anon said that, okay, I'll perform until we do our first live. And then once she has the band back together, she'll go back to Matsumi, she'll go back to Tsukiko and be like, hey, see, we can get the band back together. But it's this kind of weird, you know, contrast of how we're used to seeing these characters, and the one character that really wanted this whole thing to come together is now on the offensive. She's being, you know, she's like really angry. So I'm really excited to see, you know, episode 8, how they actually address playing Cry Chic's song as this new band, where obviously it means so much to all the members, but it means especially a lot more to Soyo and her connection to her previous band. But Matt, there was a post-credit scene.
Okay.
And it's there. So essentially throughout the other 6 episodes, there are these 2 kind of music influencers that they'll show here and there on, you know, computer screen. Like characters are watching them on the background. And they have one of their videos playing up on like a billboard or something. And we have Sakiko saying, seeing this video, and then she calls one of them up and says, hey, I don't want to be like this way anymore. And I think this goes into the meta aspect of like Bang Dream overall, where Matt, in terms of MyGo, there's actually another new Bang Dream band called Mujika. And even though those members haven't been officially, you know, unveiled other than their stage names and then their costumes, you can tell, oh, Sakiko's in this band, Matsumi's in this band, the two music influencers are in this band, and there's this one member who I think Anon ends up bumping into during one of her running scenes, but like they don't actually show her face. So I think
Uh-huh.
moving forward, this is actually the first time we have one, a band that has disbanded in the Bang Dream universe, but then that the members of those bands kind of forming two separate bands, and then just not only the emotional baggage that comes with that, but they're setting this up to be a rivalry between these two bands as well, which I think is really interesting in terms of the Bang Dream franchise, because the last time we kind of saw something like this was with Reza Solin and Rosalia when Choo Choo from Raz wanted to produce for Rosalia. Rosalia said no, and then Choo Choo said, "Okay, then I'll make a super band and be the best, girl band ever." and but that doesn't kind of have the emotional stakes that MyGo has right now, and what I'm hoping that Mujika bring to the table when they're finally introduced. But yeah, Matt, that was a long-winded way of me saying that episode 7 was really intense, and I just loved how the flipped Soyo's happy demeanor, and then just showed her performing, like getting progressively more miserable as this performance goes on, while the rest of her bandmates have finally hit a stride that they haven't been able to hit before. So I do recommend it in terms of, even if you're not a fan of Bang Dream, I think MyGo so far has been a really solid, girl band, or even just band anime in general. Of course, if you have that Bang Dream familiarity, all the Easter eggs, all the cameos are fun too. But yeah, just the band dynamic between Cry Chic, MyGo, and soon Mujika is something I haven't seen really before from this franchise, and that's what's making it a lot more appealing to me. So,
Uh-huh.
Matt,
Jaren.
I love me some Bang Dream. Even when I quit the gacha after the Chainsaw Man collab, I'll still probably watch the anime just because, yeah, again,
Oh, Jaren,
nothing.
you got a quick cold turkey. It's gonna pull you back in, Jaren.
It's gonna put, yeah, because Matt,
Uh-huh.
eventually when MyGo and Mujika get added to the game, you know what that means? They have their own collabs.
Uh-huh.
Ah,
Jaren,
that
what if, later down in the Bang Dream lore, like what if at some point someone leaves Av Mujika and it's, someone else joins and it's like, I don't know, Alter Kokoro or something.
Oh man, it could be, Matt. It could be, but
Uh-huh.
I don't know, Matt. This was pretty. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Jaren,
What's up?
has Bang Dream always been that kind of like drama-y? Because I feel like my experience with the Bang Dream anime is heavily skewed because I've really only ever watched episodes with Hello Happy World
Yeah.
in it.
If you want to be real, yeah. There's a
Damn.
lot of family drama too. It's mostly, instead of kind of interpersonal. Well, I guess you can say like Sayo from Rosalia and her twin sister Hina from Pastel Palettes. They have like a really strained relationship, with Sayo feeling a lot of inferiority compared to her twin sister, because Hina's depicted as that anime character type archetype where she can pick up anything and be instantly good at it, and as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to Sayo, who has to work really hard with it. With Afterglow, you have a lot of family dynamics, especially with Rand's father not really approving her to like do band stuff and like wanting her to focus more, and kind of just like the clashing ideals of how they want to push forward the band. So there have been a lot of drama instances, but they're mostly been inner band stuff and inner kind of dealing with everyone's own emotional baggage. But in
I see.
terms of my go, this is the first time that, again, a band in the Bang Dream universe has disbanded, and then for them to kind of explore what happens to the members after those bands and them going to this one featured band and another band being set up from the other remnants, I think is a dynamic we haven't really seen before. And I think that's what's really pushing me towards this. And yeah,
true.
I enjoyed it. Do recommend it. And again, Matt was saving this for you, but didn't know the Promised Neverland people were also working on Bang Dream.
Oh man. I mean, Jared, I honestly think that I'll just stick to Bang Dream Pico or something.
Man, I love Bang Dream Pico. Hopefully they'll get a new season soon.
Oh, wait. I always just thought that was just like an ongoing YouTube series.
Essentially, Bang Dream Pico so essentially that's their 3-minute kind of goof anime, similar to Hololive Graffiti, but that's usually done in between seasons.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's not necessarily ongoing, but like I think it's had 3 seasons, but each season has been like 26 episodes. So they have some beef to it, Matt. They have some beef to it.
Nice.
So Matt, speaking about collaborations, wait. Oh, wait, we just talked about collaborations was before this Bang Dream segment. Matt, I'm not good at planning stuff out. But Matt, speaking about anime and video games.
Yes.
So there's another Fortnite anime collaboration coming, Matt. And this has come out. This hasn't been officially announced yet, but Matt, you know how leakers get. Leakers be wilding sometimes. And it was revealed this week through data mining, and some of the character models have come out, that the next anime Fortnite collab is Jujutsu Kaisen. And Matt,
that's a
weird collab, would you say? Or
my initial gut reaction is yes, but now that it's simmered for like 30 seconds, I'm gonna go no, because I feel like Jujutsu Kaisen is about like the level of popularity I would expect for a Fortnite collab.
Yeah.
Has there been a Demon Slayer collab?
No.
Okay.
So far for Fortnite, in terms of anime, it has been Naruto, 2 waves, Dragon Ball, 2 waves, My Hero, 1 wave, and Attack on Titan, which also had 1 wave. But Matt, with Jujutsu Kaisen, we have 3 characters. Can you guess which 3 characters are making this collab?
I would guess. Okay. I would have to say Gojo has to be in there, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Satoru Goju is one of the characters in this collab.
I'm assuming Itadori's in there, right?
Matt?
Huh?
If there were, I've only seen 3 characters, and yeah, Itadori, not one of those 3 characters.
Oh, that's surprising. Like, is it just like Sukuna is in there instead of like him, or like Sukuna version of him?
No.
Oh, is it Meg? Is it any of like the 3 like what do you call it, like season 1 like student kids?
So yeah, you're on the right path there. So
also Megumi, I'm assuming is in
there.
there.
Megumi's in it, and one more character, Matt.
I don't know who it would be. I don't think it's. I really doubt it's going to be. But in my heart, I want Panda in there. But that doesn't really. Who's the third one, Jared?
Nobara.
Oh, I'm surprised that she made it in over Yuji.
So here's what I'm thinking. Well, it's kind of hard for me, Matt, just because with the anime collabs in the past, they usually came in 4s. At least the first wave have come in 4s. Like, with the exception of Attack on Titan, where that only had 1 was in a battle pass, and then 2 characters were released on their own. But yeah, so far we've only seen the character models of Satoru, Megumi, and Nobara. But I do think that if you're having 2 of the 3 first-year students, I feel like you have to have Yuji Itadori there. And it would make sense if, you have, if it comes in waves of 4, because with My Hero, that had, All Might was on his own, but then you also had three students, Deku, and two other characters. So I would think that Yuji would appear as well. But yeah, so far those were the three that have been data mined. But I'm clicking through it real quick. But yeah, Matt, only three characters so far.
That'd be surprising if it's just those three to me.
But also, I don't think there's a release date attached to this. So there is also a possibility that Yuji Itadori might be a Battle Pass skin because the next season of Fortnite starts end of August. So it might be one of those situations where he might be in the Battle Pass. But yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen coming to Fortnite at some point, not officially announced, but considering what they've done with their anime collabs in the past, expect, I don't know, Tokyo Subway advertisements for this in the near future.
I don't know. I wonder what mechanic they're gonna bring in for it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Just because with a lot of the anime collabs, there has been some item in the world that people could use, whether it be the Kamehameha, whether it be the Deku Smash, or the whatever. What are the ODM gear, I believe, from Attack on Titan. But Matt, you've consumed more Jujutsu Kaisen than me. What do you think they could pull in terms of a Fortnite battle royale item?
The first thing that comes to mind for me is the I can't remember the term for it in Jujutsu Kaisen. It's whatever their special ability is that puts you in a temporary small dimension, that sort of thing, or a veil sort of thing where, hey, we're locking you down into an area with us, 1v1v sort of thing.
They have had stuff like that in the past, in terms of Fortnite mechanics. During some of their Fortnitemares events, you could go into a closed off area that had monsters running around, or sometimes you'd take a portal that would kind of put you in a monster area. So maybe something like that could happen. Is there any powered up thing that's a projectile that could possibly be something as well?
I
a powered up state, or a form of traversal, maybe.
If they get that dude's kind of voice command stuff, that would actually be a pretty good goof, actually.
Okay. But yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen coming to Fortnite at some point. Our boy Yuji, not my boy, but collectively our boy, not there yet, but could be in the Battle Pass. We'll see. End of August. So Matt. Speaking about games where it feels like the rest of the world's trying to kill you, I think you've been playing a new hotness right now.
Oh yes, Jaren. I have been playing the new hotness of Remnant 2.
Matt, I think I've asked you this. Have we talked about Remnant 1 on the show before? I think lightly, at least.
I think we did lightly. I remember, I really, really liked Remnant 1. But I never would have given it a chance I never would have given it the play chance if I hadn't have gotten it free on Epic.
Oh, point taken. So Matt, as someone who barely knows anything about this game, could you give us a rundown of what exactly what the Remnant series is, what you liked about the first one, and why you wanted to check out the sequel day one, essentially?
Okay, so I think the one sentence elevator pitch of Remnant 2 is Dark Souls with guns.
Isn't that Bloodborne, Matt?
But actual guns.
Okay.
Not hey, you're going to shoot a gun from I don't know, 2 feet away at this monster. This is a third-person shooter, a third-person non-cover shooter with guns.
Okay.
And I don't know, I just generally really like everything about Remnant. It kind of has a very the gameplay for it is, like I said, a Souls-like game. All the gun control I think is very good. I think that there's a lot of variety in the kind of characters you can make because it is not exclusively a Well, it is like very much a shooter, but you don't exclusively need to be shooting things to
Right.
play because you can like run a melee based build or a gun magic type build.
Okay.
And I don't know, the story for it actually I think is also pretty simple as well, and it lends itself to having a lot of variety. Because what happens in Remnant is that you are in both 1 and 2, the general plot is you are playing as the someone called the Traveler or the Wanderer, depending on which game you're playing, and you run into this kind of group of, I don't know if they're immortal or if they're just long lived, but this group of people who are like that type of thing, and they get sucked into a magic crystal. And this magic crystal allows you to traverse kind of like realities.
Okay.
And kind of just like having that basis opens you up to a lot of world variety. Because, hey, now you're able to, understandably travel to, hey, here is, a magical fae environment. Here is, these are like you're fighting archangels in this one, or you're fighting, in a robot wasteland in this one, or like it's
Oh,
like that sort of kind of sci-fi sort of like world traveling.
was the first one like that as well? Just because I think from what little I know of Remnant, to me, it seemed like a lot of urban environment,
Yeah,
post-apocalypse urban environments. Was it always like that where you're jumping around to different set pieces?
it is. I do remember a lot of kind of how Remnant One was shown when it first came out, and it was trying to, I think, be as non-spoilery as possible,
Oh, right,
because
right.
just like in that one and in Remnant Two, the first area you start in is basically Earth that's been infected by tree, like basically tree monsters,
Right.
and that is very much the what they showed in the Remnant One trailers and like kind of like
Okay.
first gameplay, which is why I think a lot of people have that kind of assumption there.
Okay. So, in terms of the environments,
Hmm.
are they, because again, from what little I saw of Remnant 1, it was a lot more kind of gray, a lot more, you know, dull colors. When you're traversing to these different worlds, do we get to see a different color palette, or is it kind of still within that kind of range of, duller colors?
No. Within Remnant Two, like you do have kind of varied color palettes. There is, of course, like you are going to be in, post-apocalyptic Earth. It is going to have those duller colors,
Yeah.
but as you go into like the Angel area, a lot of it's going to be a lot of the color theming there is kind of gold and silver with like
Okay.
arcs of like light sort of thing. And then you're in the robot wasteland, and there you're playing with a lot of like purples and blues.
Oh,
And
nice.
then like in the Fey area, you're playing with a lot. It's very foresty, so you're playing with a lot of greens and kind of like pinks. It's a very kind of interesting aesthetic, and one of the kind of interesting things about it is that the story about it in Remnant Two has a lot to do with the big bad is corrupting the world,
Okay.
and a lot of the graphics that they're using, or not graphics, I guess art style they're using for the corruption is kind of just like when you're playing a video game and it starts artifacting
Hmm.
because like you're overdoing it with your GPU.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like that, and I kind
Oh,
of
okay.
like that aesthetic in terms of this game, because I don't know, with that kind of aesthetic it also lends itself well to the internet of it, because
Hmm.
Jaren, I am going to be skipping ahead a lot of steps here right now,
No worries.
but I want to talk to you about the kind of internet side of Remnant right now,
Okay.
which is that in Remnant you are able to kind of like pick your class to determine, just your general what abilities you're gonna have available to you as you play through the game. And I really, really like that one of the classes is, or in game was designed with the kind of corruption in mind, where the graphics and kind of styling and aesthetics for that class borrows a lot from the kind of big bad, where their effects are all kind of like corrupted.
Okay.
And the only way that you would have ever been able to find that, or the only way that it was ever been going to be exposed that that class existed, is when people data mined.
Oh.
And I don't know, that kind of like weird aspect of it just really, really draws me into this kind of game, because there is a whole lot of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But to just kind of get back more into the game and the gameplay itself, I think it's like a really competent third-person shooter. You do get a lot of kind of opportunities to play dress up. I think one of my favorite things about the kind of overall design of the game is that there isn't an issue I have a lot in kind of shooters like this, where you're not only using real guns, is that a lot of the guns tend to feel samey across as you play. Like, you'll be playing as like, oh, you're playing with like a assault rifle here, and then there's a better assault rifle there.
Yeah. But even though you're getting a better assault rifle, it still feels like an assault rifle, essentially.
Yeah, it still feels like an assault rifle. What I like about both Remnant 1 and Remnant 2 is that they never really do that. All the kind of base weapon archetypes that you would expect in any kind of shooting game in general, of, hey, here's your AR, here's your single shot rifle, here's your scoped rifle, here's your, like Magnum, here's your revolver, here's your, just like those types of gun, like your auto shotty, your like double barrel shotty. They're all there from the start, and every single gun that you unlock through gameplay is kind of unique.
Okay.
Like, here's like a pistol shotty. Here is a kind of, I don't know, bow that shoots moonlight or something. Or like, here's a gun that kind of shoots out like homing birds or something like that. Like, they're all very unique, and you never run into that kind of issue of, I am replacing my gun with the better version of itself.
Right.
Which is something I really like.
Now you have access to all this heavy arsenal of weapons. But Matt, for a third-person shooter game, my biggest question is, how do the guns feel overall? What's the gun feel like? Because I don't know about you, Matt, but if a gun doesn't feel satisfying to use, if I don't have that impact, not only through, let's say, rumble, but just, how that game feel overall. What's it like when it comes to Remnant, and are you enjoying yourself with it?
I really am enjoying myself with it. I think that the gun feel is very good across the weapons. Like the kind of smaller weapons, like the smaller like kind of pistols and stuff, they feel like you have, when you're using a shotgun, you do have kind of that character stutter when they shoot a little bit.
Yeah.
Or if you're using like a heavy machine gun, you do have the nice amount of, I don't know, chunky noises, the nice like a non-distracting amount of like screen shake and lights going off. Like, I think it's all hitting very, very well in terms of like how good it feels.
Now that we know that the gun feel is on point, Matt, you described, and I guess everyone's describing this game as Souls-like with guns, but when it comes to that Souls-like aspect, how is it similar to other Souls games on the market, and where does it, carve its own unique identity?
So as far as Souls-like aspects go, it does kind of have your typical, okay, here's your Estus flask equivalent, here's your like health bar, and here's your stamina bar for, dodging and sprinting and whatnot. Oh, and one, I think, really, really nice change that I like from Remnant 1 to Remnant 2 is that if you are not near enemies, your stamina bar is infinite.
Oh, nice.
Which makes, kind of like, Jaren, this is a Souls-like clone in terms of kind of secret hunting.
Oh, nice.
Where, like, there is going to be stuff like, hey, you killed this enemy who was stuck in a pipe. And if you stay in this area for, or if you happen to run past this area again in 90 minutes, you're going to notice that the pipe like that the enemy was stuck in has, emptied all its water, and now there's like a platform across this area to like a secret
Cool.
thing.
That's cool.
Like, or, hey, there's someone like mentioned on a page that you like read somewhere that, hey, there was a hidden wall somewhere, like, maybe 2 areas back, better start running. And,
Of
kind of
course.
just having that sort of thing where like infinite stamina is there is, I think, like one of my favorite kind of quality of lives in any kind of game with kind of like biggish maps.
Yeah.
And I guess like while we're on the like quick thing of maps, the kind of nice thing about Remnant is that its maps are kind of pseudo randomly generated,
Oh, okay.
in that you're going to have area names that are going to be consistent across every single playthrough. But they're going to have like, they're going to have certain building blocks. Like, hey, you're going to have, I don't know, paths that can go this way, or whenever you're going to build this area, it's always going to be, for example, like a loop, or it's going to be like make a figure 8 or whatever. Like, it has those kind of like pseudo random building blocks. And then within, like I said, there, like the kind of game is divided into worlds and planets and like sort of thing. Each world or reality or planet or whatever has its own kind of unique story events that can easily slot themselves into your random map generation,
Yeah.
which I think is like very nice. And like whether those story events are stuff like, hey, like you just gotta like kill this thing, or I think like the puzzles in Remnant are all very fun. Of, for example, you found like the lair of a kind of like crazy person, and you have to figure out the password to his safe. You would only be able to do that if you kind of happened to be one of those people who runs around with your flashlight on all the time, and you happen to notice that as you were turning, you lit up a number on the wall.
Okay. Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it's like, it's a lot of like, I think very nice kind of not too heavy puzzles to go through, which I think is
Okay.
like very appealing for me and my kind of small brain over here.
Fair enough. Fair enough, Matt. As someone
Mm-hmm.
with a small brain as well, that does sound appealing to me.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
with the connotation that this is a Souls like with guns, I have to ask, Matt,
Mm-hmm.
how's the difficulty, and are you playing this solo or do you have a buddy with you?
I am kind of on and off playing solo and with a co-op partner.
Yep.
One of the things that Remnant has is something called an adventure mode, which in your campaign, like you just kind of have like your standard campaign stuff, like, hey, you're going through an actual campaign story. But adventure mode is kind of nice because, like I said, it's randomly generated. So in your world, you might not get all the events. So, or in your campaign, you might not be able to get all the events. So with adventure mode, you are able to kind of generate a one-off area, and you'll be able to select basically a tile set or a world set that you want to use, and you only generate that world. So you're able to kind of play
Okay.
through it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I do my co-op. I like kind of generate those side worlds, and I run through it with my co-op friend, and then I
Okay.
do the campaign by myself.
And when it comes to the campaign by yourself, how are you faring in that world, Matt?
Jaren, I I am not much of a shooter person.
Yes.
I am, not good at like landing those, critical headshots in the moment, especially when it's like the kind of mob type where they're fast and they're swarming you. And Jaren, this is also a game that it's important for you to conserve bullets
Oh no,
because
Matt, you're losing me now. You're losing me.
because you only get bullets from like killing enemies or hitting the bonfire equivalents, and the bonfire equivalents are going to like respawn the enemies. But Jaren, fortunately for me, and I also believe like people like me, you are not limited to only using guns.
Okay.
The game does, of course, have the kind of like you have one primary weapon and one secondary weapon kind of system. But you are also able to carry a melee weapon, and all the melee weapons kind of have their own kind of like unique functionality to them. Like you can have your big two-handed greatsword, which is what I like using because it has like a nice horizontal cleave to it. Or you can carry a spear, which like, obviously will have very, very nice like long range reach, and you're also going to be able to throw it, so you don't have to worry that much about losing all your ammo.
Yeah.
A favorite that I was using earlier was a mace, which basically when you use it, you can kind of do a charged attack. With all the weapons have their own kind of like unique properties, but the charge attack for this one, instead of it just being one like heavy hit, you just spin the mace over your head and you're just kind of creating a safety bubble around yourself as long as the stamina lasts.
Right.
And Jaren, I think the most important thing for me is the abilities that you get based on your class, or what they call in this game, archetypes.
Yeah.
Which, Jaren, the way archetypes work in this game is that you are able to select 2 archetypes from basically an initial set of 4, and overall it expands to, I think, 10. I'm not sure what the upper limit is just yet, but you are able to kind of like select these classes. These classes all have a kind of conditional like passives for you to go through as you level them up. Like for example, hey, you just get like, if you're the engineer, you get like additional damage and armor like every single time you level up. And they have another thing that's like, a team perk where, hey, when you put down, and I think Jaren is very important because this is my current go-to, when you put down your turret, or your auto turret, you gain just like, additional damage resist by just being near it.
Nice.
And so like do all of your teammates. And then like you have, I don't know, something called like a utility perk, which I think for the engineer just like gives you more ammo as you're doing stuff. And then you kind of have I can't remember the name of the 4th perk type, but like it gives, every single class gives you a set of perks that is like helpful to you, and then they each all have 3 skills that lets you kind of customize your playing experience. And since you can use 2 classes at once and you're kind of just free to switch them up whenever you want, the game is actually very flexible for how you want to play at that exact given moment.
Nice. Okay.
So, Jaren, me being a baby, I am running around with both a turret and the medic class, so I can heal myself without wasting my Estus equivalent.
That sounds good, Matt. Because I was gonna say, you know me, Matt. I love me some cheese, Matt. How's the fromage doing in Remnant 2?
It's actually like not as cheesy as I would have expected. Like I think the game is actually quite fair about how you're going to set the difficulty for yourself.
All right.
Because when you do start the game, it does like give you the difficulties that you can choose from. Like there is just like an easy, medium, hard, which really I guess like scaled towards Dark Souls would be like normal, hard, very hard.
Okay.
And then like after you finish the campaign once, you get the like next level of difficulty after, which I think is just called Nightmare difficulty.
Nice.
But I'm playing on like whatever the second difficulty would be.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think I'm having like a very good time with it. I think that for the most part, like all the bosses I faced have been pretty like very fun. I think the game did a good job of creating telegraphing for all the boss fights and make them not feel like like you died to like some weird bullshit sort of a thing. Like it does have that feeling of like a good second and a half in advance that you're about to die because you made a mistake.
Right. So it's fair, Matt. It's fair.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think it's very fair.
Okay.
And I think that one mechanic I actually haven't talked about is weapon mods, which is in essence just spells you equip to your guns.
Okay.
Which basically just, lets you kind of do more stuff. Like, hey, you can create a AoE on the floor, or you can change your bullets so that they kind of do elemental damage now. Like, it's all that kind of like sort of stuff. And I really appreciate being able to do something like, hey, take a close range shotgun and being able to attach a mod to it that lets you handle long ranged things. Like I kind of like
Okay.
that customization. And I don't know, John. Overall, I really, really, really just like the Remnant series. I
Yeah.
think it's very much worth like anybody's time, and I think that they very well maintained a lot of like quality of life stuff. I think really there's like one part where I think it took a step back from the previous game, which is something called trait points,
Okay.
which they existed in Remnant 1, but trait points are basically kind of just things like, hey, like every time you find like this book in the wild, it gives you a trait point. And you find these books kind of often, like
Yeah.
maybe once every like hour or two.
Okay.
And these books give you a trait point which you can use to level things up, like, hey, use this point to level up your health. Use this point to like level up your overall stamina, like elemental resistance, run speed, and stuff like that.
Right.
And in the sense of like kind of just like referring to like a roguelike, this is kind of like your long-term progress where you're slowly making the game a little bit more easier for you.
Okay.
And in the first game they were infinite, and in this game they are not, which I think is like a huge kind of mistake,
Yeah.
because Jaren, not all traits were created equal.
Right.
And
Right.
I think with that in mind, like having an infinite amount of them so that you can kind of infinitely grow is very like very much like you have to like consider that when you're limiting these trait points or when you're creating them to begin with, because they did kind of bring over a lot of the traits from Remnant 1 into Remnant 2.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go from an unlimited system to a limited system, a lot of the traits that you get now don't make sense to
Right.
ever invest in, because you're going to be putting stuff like increasing your max HP up against other traits, which are stuff like, hey, you climb ladders faster.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like really kind of unfortunate that they didn't either make traits continue to be infinite, or they didn't overhaul the traits that they brought over from the previous game.
Okay. Matt,
Mm-hmm.
sounds like you're enjoying this one, Matt.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This is a
And
very, very fun game. I've already hit my, I think, 40th hour, and this game has been
nice.
out for, I don't know, less than a week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're playing on the PC, correct?
Yes.
And I took a browse at Nexus mods, and
Mm-hmm.
I was actually surprised that there are a lot of different optimization mods already. How's the performance for you? And have you modded it in any way?
I have not modded the game yet in any way. I do think that I'm fortunate in that I do have a beefy PC. So I'm not really running into any like real like gameplay hicks for me
Yeah.
or hitches for me. But I do think that like this game could be a lot better optimized. Like when I'm looking at my CPU or GPU usage, like it's really only sitting at maybe 40% use,
Okay.
and my game itself like is really only sitting at around like 60 frames a second,
Okay.
whereas like like in like other games I'm able to like push to like, I don't know, like 120 if like needed. But I don't well, and this is like with DLSS on, so I was actually expecting like a much higher frame rate from it,
Yeah.
but like
Okay.
I'm still okay at like 60. Which
Nice.
sounds weird and like conceited for me to say now that I'm saying it with my mouth and like real words.
Of course. But any closing thoughts on Remnant 2 now, Matt?
I'm really really hoping that the DLCs for this are good.
Did the first one have any DLC?
The first one had, I believe, 2 DLCs, and both of those were actually like pretty solid. So I'm really hoping that they are able to, hit it again on this these next set of DLC, because I think they already announced like 3 DLC like packs.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say you're hoping that the DLC is good, Matt, Did you buy into the fancy smancy edition or?
I did not, Jaren. I was like debating on it because the Fancy Schmancy edition did come with early access to the game, and I was very very tempted, but I didn't think I was going to get all the what do you call it? I wasn't going to get the playtime for the early access because I knew I was going to be busy on the early access weekend.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And my final question. So, from what I've gathered, you've said, Matt, that this seems to be a new and improved, refined version of Remnant. Do you think it's worth checking out for those who haven't, going back and trying Remnant 1, or would you say you can just jump into Remnant 2?
I think you can just jump into Remnant 2, but I wouldn't like discount like people playing Remnant 1. I think Remnant 1 is still a good game. I think it does still kind of like hold up. And yeah, you can like jump into Remnant 2 pretty easily. I'll be honest, like the story is there, but it's not important. And it's still like I think understandable from without playing the first game.
All right. Fair enough, Matt. Fair enough. Just like the difficulty in Remnant 2, according to Matt Alba. But do you think this is something you'll be checking in the next few weeks as well, Matt?
I think I will be. It depends on how much more content I have left. I do think that in terms of campaign, I am basically at the end of the game right now. So depending on what new stuff ends up coming out about this game, I may check in again.
All right. That's cool, Matt. That's cool. That was Remnant 2, and Matt, that was another beefy episode of the Mistake Zone. Matt, I want to thank you, as always, for joining me this week and editing this. I was going to say fine pod, but let's say editing this pod. I want to thank graded HoloLive cards that I hope I'll win, but Matt was looking through the seller's history and his reviews. Saw a Aki Rose card sell for $80. Not sure if I'll pay $80 plus shipping for these cards. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, would want to thank don't want to thank my bad gacha pools. I do want to thank MyGO for a good episode. I want to thank anime collabs in Fortnite. I want to thank Remnant 2. I want to thank gun customization, or just customization in general. And I want to thank, we didn't get into it, but Matt, I want to thank vending machines. Maybe we'll get into it. Maybe we'll get into it some more next week. But Matt, that was another episode of The Mistake Zone. I need to cough right now, so please take it away.
This has been The Mistake Zone, and we're all out of this PSA 1 podcast.